And I was so annoyed. But yeah, what can I do? You're listening to Pagan Mom Podcast. I'm so glad that you're joining me today, and this is a podcast where you can come to indulge in various topics regarding paganism in our modern world, merging present and past. Be sure never to miss an episode by subscribing if you feel so inclined. I'd be very grateful. Thank you. Now let's get on with it. Welcome back, lovely listeners. This is your host, Pagan Mom, and in this episode, I'm going to talk about a really popular subject, which is matron and patron deities. But before I dive into this episode, I just want to make a little announcement, and that is that I have created a Patreon page. And I would be very happy if you guys would go in there and take a look. And you can find all of my links, actually, that is connected to this podcast in my link tree, which I have linked in my description box of this podcast and also the description box of this episode itself. So I hope that you will enjoy this episode, and let's get on with it. So today I'm going to go through some of the most commonly asked questions when it comes to matron and patron deities, and I'm also going to explain how my matron and patron actually revealed themselves to me in the end of the episode. So the very first question is, what is a matron or a patron deity? And it is a deity which you are connected to for a very long time, or actually even your whole lifetime, and they can follow future generations of your family as well. The relationship with your matron or patron has a deep level of commitment, and they often act as protectors, teachers, mentors, and in some cases, they even have sort of a parent role going on too. The relationship between you and your matron or patron is always very unique and special, and nobody really has the same sort of relationship as you do, even if they also have the same deity. Because it is a relationship, and you don't have the same sort of relationships to everyone in your life, do you? There is no difference with the relationship between deity and human in that way. It's always unique. So next question is, what is the difference between a matron and a patron? And some pagans uses these terms to determine if the deity is feminine or masculine. So the feminine would be matron, and the masculine would be patron. Not every pagan uses these terms, but I like them, so I'm gonna keep doing it. But my advice is, do what you feel is best for you. So the next question is, do you need a matron or a patron? And in my opinion, no, you don't need one. The first thing that many people do when they come to this path is looking for their matron and patron. And I just want to say, stop. Don't. Let it come if it's meant to come. And if it's not, that's not a bad thing. Sure, it could be very handy to have a deity as your protector, mentor, teacher, whatever. But it's not something that is really required to have to be able to walk a pagan path. And maybe there's something you need to do first to evolve spiritually before you meet your matron or patron. Okay, so let's move on to the next question, which is, how do you find your matron or patron? And in my opinion, they find you, not the other way around. I know that many of you might disagree with me on this. I know that there's many different opinions, but I can only go from my own experiences with the deities, and those experiences has led me to have these opinions that I have regarding this. Although there is nothing that prohibits you to put it out there that you are open to meet your matron or patron and tell them that you feel that you are ready for them to come to you, and they actually might when you least expect it. So let's get on with the next question, which is, how do you know that they want a connection with you? Or how do you know if a deity is calling you? And this can actually be a bit tricky to understand when it's happening, especially if you're as skeptical and stubborn as me. So sometimes a deity can just visit you if they have something they want to let you know or help you with, or temporarily work with you on something. Or they can just simply check you out for one reason or another. And if and when they do, that doesn't necessarily mean that they want to work with you or be your matron or patron. So it's not always easy to determine what they want, and some gods and goddesses aren't as direct as many others can be. Some are elusive, just because they want to play around a bit with you, Loki. And sometimes they can be very persistent, and even if you're ignoring them, they will still keep picking on you for attention. But if you're having, let's say, a dream that a god or goddess wants a connection, just wait for them to keep making contact with you, because they will. They definitely will if they want to be your matron or patron. So don't stress, don't force anything, just chill. And you can reach out to them as well. Ask them what their intentions are with you. So let's go on to the next question, which is when and how do they mostly reveal themselves? So let me begin with the when. Generally, they come when they feel that you have reached a certain level of yourself and your spirituality, or they could actually have been with you your entire life. It all depends on if you have been able to feel them or been able to recognize them. Freya and Cernunnos has, for example, been with me my whole life, as well as the goddess Morrigan. In my case, I wasn't really willing to admit that they actually were there until I had that bitch slap dream that Morrigan put me through that woke me up from a slumber of denial, basically. It was a form of awakening to be granted to see what really was around me. And I told you guys a little about that in my introduction episode. So if you guys haven't already listened to that, I really recommend that you do. Anyhow, they also seem to reveal themselves in times of great pain. I have a theory about that, and I think that pain is vibrating on a frequency that makes us more receptive of the energies around us. I mean, this is just a theory that I have. I'm actually going to do some research on it when I can, I decided. So when I have, I might make an episode only about that. Is that something you guys would be interested in? And if so, feel free to leave a comment so that I know your thoughts. And now let's talk about the how. It can be through signs, visions, dreams, in meditations, through music, TV, movies. Well, it can literally be in any way, shape or form. It can be a text on a random car passing by as you're out driving, like it was for me not long ago. I'm gonna tell you that story, and this isn't how Freya revealed herself to me, but this is just a fun little story of how deities can get your attention. And I'm going to talk about how both Freya and Cernunnos revealed themselves to me in the end of this episode, but I just want to go through all of the different questions first. So the fun little story goes like this. I had so much going on in my life that I felt I needed to focus on. So I kind of neglected Freya a little during that period, and I knew that she wanted me to listen to her because she had many things to inform me about. But I was just so into my own stuff that I had a tunnel vision, or how to explain it. And when I was on my way to work one morning, all of a sudden a long truck drove in front of me in a roundabout. It wasn't dangerous or anything, it was just passing by. And with big bold letters, it said Freya on the entire truck. And I have never seen a truck like that before in all of my years living in this town, so I knew that this wasn't a coincidence. And there are never any coincidences when it comes to this stuff, I tell you guys. But that, my friends, is just typically her. She's not exactly subtle when she wants attention. When I got home, I sat down with her and offered her some incense and other stuff. But yeah, that's an example of how the gods and goddesses could call for attention and try to reveal themselves. And now in this case, it was just a reminder for me from her to give her attention. But if you're looking for your matron or patron, pay attention to these things. And when it comes to deities trying to get attention or reveal themselves through music, I'll give you an example from my storybook again. And that is about how the Celtic goddess Morrigan tried to give me confirmation of her presence after that dream I told you guys about in my introduction episode. And sometimes Morrigan has given me confirmation she's there even though she's silent when she saw I needed it the most. She is sort of known to be the silent watcher, and for me she kind of is like that in periods. Sometimes for long periods and sometimes for shorter ones. But she is very much silently keeping an eye on you sometimes, which can be very frustrating if you would be like I was in the beginning, like very skeptical and stubborn and so on. So she did this to me just because she wanted to challenge me basically and test me in a way. And I was just wondering, like, where the heck did she go? Was all this just bullshit that I've experienced? And I was literally thinking this just as I was being picked up by my brother one day, and the moment that I sat my ass down in his car, I hear this. Every breath you take, every move you make, every bond you break, every step you take, I'll be watching you. That was the song that was played in his car, and the song is called Every Breath You Take by the Police. But I mean, for this song to play just as I think like that about her, I mean, yeah, no coincidences, right? So yeah, in conclusion, the gods make themselves known in various ways and forms, and you just need to be receptive to it and understand it if they do. They always find ways to get your attention in one way or another. A tip is that you write things down in a journal or something. Also, not everything are signs and stuff, so I always say that you guys should be skeptical as well and not think that every little thing you see or hear is the gods or goddesses. Be open to it, but don't go around looking for it everywhere. When you see something, you'll instantly know if it's really the work of the gods or not. It's just something you feel. And don't force it. And on the speak of not forcing it, don't force anything when it comes to finding your matron or patron or walking the path in general. Just relax and let stuff come to you naturally. And by that note, let's get on to the next question. The next question is, how do you connect with your patron or matron? And there are no direct answers for this question, since it's different with all of the deities and the relationships that you have with them. You need to try out different things. If they haven't directly told you how to best connect with them already, which some of them does sometimes. But generally, it could be a good idea to just go outside and be out in nature. This is what I did myself when my journey started. And being outside really helped me at that time, especially when being in the forest. And it still is the place that I find I have the most clear communication with them at. However, I do have quite developed psychic abilities. I am all of the so-called clairs, which is clairvoyant, clairsentient, clairaudient, claircognizant, and so on. So I can communicate quite easily with them, and I channel sometimes too, both for others and sometimes for myself. Sometimes unintentionally, but sometimes also intentionally. Channeling is something that just flows into me when it happens, so I don't really have a choice as of when the deities are choosing to do so. I only have the choice of whether I should tell the people that it concerns what I see, hear, or feel. But sometimes I do choose to sit down to intentionally try to channel a certain deity. You can just simply sit down with them at their altar if you have one for them, talk to them about your day or whatever you feel like talking to them about. And if you don't have an altar, I would recommend that you would have some form of it, because it's good to have if you want to connect to your matron or patron, as well as you're honoring them by having it in your home, showing your commitment to them. And you can also have an altar outside. There's nothing wrong with that. But that depends as well if the deity you're connected to actually wants an altar or not. Some may not. You can also use certain incense that you feel the deity you want to connect with would like and go into meditation, spend time with them that way. If you know your god or goddess is connected to a certain element, like water for example, try to go somewhere where there's water to connect easier. There's also certain rituals and ceremonies you can do to connect more easily, and that's actually great ways for nourishing and or deepening your connection to your matron-patron as well. You see, it's like any other relationship. You need to take care of your relationship and nourish it for it to last and grow stronger. But you don't need to do those rituals and ceremonies all the time, don't think that. But sometimes every now and then could be a good way for you to honor them in. If you don't have any developed psychic abilities yet, or if you just don't know how to reach out to them, there's other possibilities as well. Go to someone who is psychic that you trust and let them try to reach out to your deities and ask them how you can best do it yourself. There are loads of ways really, you just need to figure out what works the best for you. So on to the next question, which is, can you have multiple matrons and patrons? And in my opinion, yes you can. I have two. In general, people have one matron or patron though, and some people have two as well, but it's not that common to have more than that really. You can have a connection and work with loads of deities, but that doesn't mean that they're all patrons and matrons. Just food for thought. The next question is, can you have matrons and patrons from different pantheons? I would say yes, absolutely. I do. Cernunnos is Celtic and Freya is Norse. Why would we set limitations to this and the deities themselves? There are a lot of opinions about this question, and there are people who firmly believe that you should only work with deities from the same pantheon. I actually don't know the reason for this opinion, so if anybody out there would be so kind to inform me, please do so in an email or something, because I am actually really curious to know. And my address is, by the way, paganmompod@gmail.com. It's also in the description box of this episode, so do check there if you don't remember the address later. So it is time for the last question in this episode, which is, how did I find my matron and patron? So you guys remember me talking about that meditation in my introduction, right? Which I have kind of mentioned a couple of times in this episode already. Anyhow, well, in that same meditation, I got loads of visions after I asked those questions. And I got really, really vivid visions, as well as having all of the Norse deities' names and Cernunnos swirling around like echoes. And as I didn't know anything about either Freya or Cernunnos or any of the deities really, I couldn't possibly know what they looked like or felt like or associated with or known for or anything really in advance. Anyhow, not knowing anything about any deities was actually really a good thing, because then I knew that all that I saw and experienced was truly real and not something that my brain just remembered from something that I've seen or heard or read somewhere. So yeah, I only saw what I saw and I wrote it down, and then I did my research. And I got so much confirmation from reading up on both Freya and Cernunnos that I knew that my visions and such was truly real when I compared my notes and the information that I found. And also that rune, which by the way was Algi's, which was somehow glued to the incense plate, which I saw after the meditation. It was just such a grand answer from the Norse deities, showing me in that epic way that they were all with me. And it was incredible confirmation after that meditation. And I am still speechless whenever I think of this. And luckily I took a picture of it, and I will always keep that as a reminder of that night. I am really honored and grateful for that. So one vision Freya gave me was of 3 roses, which was of 3 different colors, which all had a purpose and meaning. And I also saw what she looked like as well. And Cernunnos gave me a vision of him being the king of this big, lush, magical forest sorta, and all of the animals came to gather around him where he sat. He was really cute. And his name was being echoed at the same time as the vision happened, basically. And I had never heard the name Cernunnos before, so I sat there totally confused and all, but I let it flow. And I really thought that I was just, imagining some weird name. And but yeah, he later on showed that name actually exists. so yeah. And on the speak of his name, by the way, he always points out that he wants me to call him father only. So that's what I generally do when I talk to him or about him. Well, except in the episodes in this pod at the moment. But that is because you guys don't know this stuff about me yet. But now you do. So in the future, here in the pod, I will only refer to him as father, and you'll know who I'm talking about from now on. And he really is father to me. So it's very hard to describe, and maybe I will deep dive into this in a future episode. Would you guys like that? Let me know and send me an email about it. You have the email address in the description box. So what happened after this incredible night then? Well, as I had the Morgan doing what she did in my dream, I really thought that she was the one wanting to be my matron at the time. So I was actually very confused, since I didn't know why she didn't appear in that meditation session. So then I had both the dream and those things happening in the meditation session, which really was confusing. But yeah, and Morgan was always watching over me and has always been doing that. I know that now, though, for sure. But back then, everything was just really confusing to me. And I kept having this feeling for weeks afterwards that there was someone else that I was supposed to recognize as my matron. And I kept hearing, Freya, 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 being whispered and echoed in my mind from time to time, and every day and night, basically. It came and went. And stubborn as I was, always, I didn't trust it. But that was also part to that I still kind of waited for Morgan to get in touch more, because since the dream, she was kind of silent and I really was so confused. So I felt I needed to get a reading from someone that knew nothing about me or my experiences, and someone to kind of shed some light on the situation and getting things confirmed by an impartial person. And I knew of some people that was doing matron-patron readings since I have gotten in contact with some of the YouTubers that was familiar with different deities. So I, of course, bought 2 readings from 2 different readers that didn't know each other or anything. And one of them actually had Freya as her own matron. So if anyone could know, it would be her, I thought. And even before I clicked that buy button, I could hear so loudly, Freya, 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 in my mind. And I also heard this constantly every day, each time I thought of who my matron was. Before my reading results came, it took like 2 to 3 weeks for both readings to be mailed to me. And every time I heard those whispers and echoes, I thought, shouldn't I actually hear Morgan? Why do I keep hearing Freya's name all the time when I had that dream that was so intense and such with Morgan? And I was so excited and nervous to read the results. And guess what? Both of the readers had gotten Freya as the results for me. Yep, so I couldn't deny anymore. Well, I know myself now when I think of how freaking stubborn and skeptical I can be sometimes, but yeah, that's me. I later decided to travel to her to really show her that I was ready now, ready to believe and ready to connect to her. And I met her in a place that was so beautiful, and she was really beautiful as well. We didn't have like much of a conversation per se. It's actually quite hard to describe it, but it was like seeing family that you haven't seen in like centuries, and there's no need for words. And you know who it is just by being in their presence, basically. And yeah, it was like seeing someone you remember from long time ago. Such a familiar feeling, and I really can't describe it to make justice, so I don't really know the words to describe it actually. It was all so magical, and it was like, you know who I am, remember. And from there on, it is. So let's get to Father Knunos. How did I for sure find out that he was my patron? Well, like the day after the visions and stuff, I went out in the forest to feel closer to him. And as I was out there, I felt so strongly that I should travel to him in a meditative state when the night came. So I sat myself down at that night and I traveled to his realm, or what to call it. And he took me to a special place in nature that was only for the 2 of us to meet every time I decided to travel to him. And he taught me loads of things regarding this place and how I could do certain things to call on him or feel close to him and such. And like that I needed this freshen up course to remember where I come from and who I am and who he is. And just like it was with Freya, it was this feeling of remembering. Meeting both of them was like once again seeing family you haven't seen in forever. And that was just the beginning. So there's a lot more going from here, but I will talk more about that in another episode. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you have enjoyed this episode as much as I have recording it. And if you did, do subscribe so that you will never miss an episode. And don't forget to check out my new Patreon site, which is linked in the description box of this episode and also of the pod. And have a good one.